What is your purpose? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Not in passing, not as a fleeting thought, but in a way that shakes your soul to its core. Because in this game, the game of life, the game of finance, purpose isn't just a nice idea. It's the difference between domination and failure, between creating wealth and being consumed by the system. Without purpose, you're drifting. And in a world designed to exploit the weak, drifting is death. But purpose alone isn't enough. The question isn't just what drives you, it's who you serve. Service is the engine of compensation. The market doesn't care about your potential, your dreams, or your hard work. It rewards the value you bring, the problems you solve, and the impact you create. If you're not serving, you're not earning. And if you're not earning, you're not playing the game. You're being played. In this video, we're going to give you the keys, the blueprint to unlock your purpose, to align it with a life of service, and to ensure that you're compensated in full for the value you bring to the table. These 10 lessons are not for the faint of heart. They are for the warriors, the builders, the relentless, the ones who refuse to settle for less. We'll strip away the lies you've been told about success, wealth, and purpose. We'll show you how to find your edge, hunt the market's weaknesses, and forge a value so undeniable that compensation becomes inevitable. But make no mistake, this path is not for everyone. It's for those who are ready to burn their excuses, embrace the grind, and rise as the masters of their destiny. Are you ready to step into your purpose? Are you ready to serve, build, and claim your rightful place in the game of finance? Then let's begin. Lesson 1. The mirror of truth. Look into the mirror. What do you see? A reflection of a life that's been lived, or the ghost of a life that could have been? That face staring back at you knows every lie you've told, every excuse you've whispered in the dark. It knows every moment you've settled, every time you've chosen comfort over courage, every opportunity you've let slip through your fingers. You cannot hide from the truth. Not here. Not now. You've been running, haven't you? Running from pain, from fear, from the brutal reality that you are not who you were meant to be. But let me tell you this, the only way forward is through. You can't outpace your shadow, but you can confront it. And in that confrontation, you will find the spark of the person you were born to become. Close your eyes and imagine the life you've dreamed of, the one you're too afraid to say out loud because it feels so far away. Now imagine that life slipping away, stolen by every excuse you've ever made. Imagine standing at the end of your days, looking back at a life filled with regret, knowing you were the one who kept yourself chained. How does that feel? Let that pain fuel you. Let it burn into your soul as a reminder of what's at stake. Today, we rip off the mask. No more pretending, no more hiding. Who are you really? Strip it down. Look at your fears, your failures, your weaknesses, and own them. They are not your enemies. They are the raw material of transformation. Every scar is a lesson, every failure a test, and every fear, it's a gatekeeper daring you to step through into greatness. But here's the truth you've been avoiding. No one is coming to save you. No mentor, no partner, no stroke of luck will fix what you've let rot. If you want change, it begins with you. Not tomorrow, not next week. Right here, right now. This is your moment to decide. Will you keep living in denial, or will you shatter the illusion and step into the fire of self-discovery? The path ahead will not be easy. It will strip you bare and test every fiber of your being. But on the other side of that fire is something far greater than comfort. Freedom. Freedom to live on your terms, to create a life that honors your potential, and to finally become the person you've always known you could be. So I ask you again, Who are you when no one is watching? What will you do now that the truth is staring you in the face? Will you keep running, or will you stand and fight? The choice is yours. But remember this, the mirror never lies, and the clock is ticking. Who will you choose to become? Lesson 2. A vision forged in fire. Close your eyes. Picture the life you've always wanted, the one you barely allow yourself to dream about. The house, the freedom, the respect, the power. Now picture it burning to ash in your hands because you didn't have the courage to claim it. Let that thought haunt you, because it's not just a nightmare. It's your reality if you don't act. Do you think greatness happens by accident? Do you think the world will hand you what you desire just because you wish for it? Number the world doesn't care about your dreams. It will grind you to dust unless you take your dreams and carve them into reality. That requires vision, not a vague hope, but a plan so vivid, so consuming, it drags you out of bed at 4 a.m. and keeps you awake at night, daring you to make it real. But let me tell you this, your vision will cost you. It will demand sacrifices, time, comfort, relationships, even your sanity at times. Are you prepared to pay the price? Because here's the truth you don't want to hear. If your vision doesn't terrify you, it's not big enough. If it doesn't keep you up at night, it's not worth chasing. And if you can imagine living without it, then it's not your vision. It's a fantasy. And fantasies are for the weak. The fire of vision isn't warm and comforting. It's relentless and unforgiving. It burns away the lies you've told yourself, the excuses you've leaned on, and the mediocrity you've clung to. And in the heat of that fire, you're left with two choices: rise as something unbreakable, or crumble into nothing. Which will it be? Now let's get one thing straight. Vision without action is delusion. You can dream all you want, but unless you're willing to take brutal, relentless steps toward it, your vision will rot in the graveyard of wasted potential. Are you willing to bleed for it? Are you willing to endure ridicule, rejection, failure after failure, just to take one step closer? Because that's the price of greatness. That's the cost of claiming what's yours. You are not here to exist. You are here to create, to dominate, to leave a mark so deep that the world will never forget you were here. But it starts with a vision so clear, so powerful, it eclipses every doubt, every distraction, every excuse. When you close your eyes at night, it should haunt you. When you wake up, it should be the only thing on your mind. It should feel like an obsession, because that's what it takes to turn a dream into destiny. So I'll ask you, what is your vision? Is it big enough? Is it bold enough? Are you ready to sacrifice for it, fight for it, bleed for it? Or will you let it die in the wasteland of what could have been? The choice is yours. But know this, the clock doesn't stop ticking, and every second you hesitate is a second closer to regret. The fire is waiting. Will you step into it and forge something unbreakable? Or will you let the flames consume what's left of your potential? Your vision is your reckoning. Face it, fight for it, or watch it fade into nothing. Lesson 3. The warrior's code of service. What will they say about you when you're gone? Will they even remember you? The world doesn't celebrate takers. It doesn't revere the selfish or the idle. It remembers those who served, those who gave something of themselves that couldn't be ignored. The truth is harsh. If you don't live to serve, you live to disappear. We are conditioned to think service is weakness, that to serve is to bow. But they've lied to you. True service is power. It is mastery over yourself, your fears, and your ego. It is the act of creating something greater than yourself, leaving a legacy that will echo long after your dust. It is proof that you mattered. But let me be clear, service is not easy. It is not glamorous. It will demand everything you have, and then more. It will strip you bare, expose your selfishness, and force you to sacrifice what others cling to. Are you willing to endure that? Are you willing to bleed for someone other than yourself? Because that's what true service requires. Ask yourself, who suffers because you're not stepping into your purpose? Whose life is harder because you've chosen comfort over contribution? Every day you hesitate, someone else pays the price. That's the brutal reality of living small. You think your inaction affects no one? You're wrong. The world is waiting for what only you can give. The question is, will you rise, or will you let them down? To serve is to declare war on your laziness, your entitlement, your excuses. It's a battle against everything in you that whispers, let someone else handle it. But let me tell you this, no one else can bring what you're here to deliver. No one else has your unique combination of talents, scars, and fire. If you fail to serve, the world loses something irreplaceable. That is your burden, and it is your calling. Service is not charity. It's strategy. The more you give, the more you grow. The more you solve for others, the more you rise. But it's not just about wealth or recognition. It's about building a life that means something. A life where every act of service strengthens your legacy. When you give, you are planting seeds, and those seeds will outlive you, creating a ripple effect of impact that will carry your name through the ages. So, I ask you, who will you serve? What problems will you solve? And what part of yourself are you willing to sacrifice for the good of others? The weak live only for themselves. The strong live to serve. They find their strength in contribution, their purpose in impact. Which one will you be? You must write your code of service today. Make it unbreakable, uncompromising. Commit to it as if your life depends on it, because it does. A life without service is hollow. It's a shadow that vanishes the moment the light fades. But a life built on service, that's immortality. Stand up. Choose to serve. Give until it hurts, and then give some more. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Not because the world deserves it, but because you demand it of yourself. Serve or be forgotten. The choice is yours. Lesson 4. Carve your edge. The world is a battlefield, and only those with the sharpest edge survive. Look around you. Mediocrity is everywhere, festering like a disease. The masses move in herds, dull and indistinguishable, waiting to be swept aside by those who dared to rise above. But you're not here to blend in, are you? You're here to carve your name into history. To do that, you must become a weapon. Precision, purpose, power. These are your only options. Do you know what makes you dangerous? Do you even know if you're dangerous at all? If the answer is no, you're vulnerable. Another sheep in a world of wolves. To carve your edge, you must first confront the raw truth. What are you good at? What makes you stand out? And just as importantly, where are you weak? Because those weaknesses are the cracks in your armor, the places your enemies will strike. Let me tell you something you've avoided hearing. You are not enough as you are. Not yet. You have potential, yes, but potential is worthless without discipline. It's time to strip away your illusions. Stop pretending you're special because you exist. You're only special when you earn it. You're only feared when you sharpen yourself into something unstoppable. Pick up the tools of self-mastery and get to work. Learn relentlessly. Train until the mundane becomes second nature. Test yourself in ways that leave no room for comfort. Because out there, someone is hungrier than you, working harder, and they will take what you want if you let them. Will you let them? Or will you outwork them, outlast them, and outthink them until there's no competition left standing? Every skill you neglect to hone is an opportunity lost. Every weakness you ignore is a vulnerability waiting to be exploited. Are you willing to take that risk? To remain dull and defenseless? Or will you rise and carve yourself into something sharper than steel? Something that cannot be ignored. Something that will cut through the noise of mediocrity and leave a lasting mark. Your edge is your weapon, and it is forged in the fires of discomfort. You must lean into the grind, embrace the challenge, and sharpen yourself until you become unrecognizable to the person you are now. The grind isn't punishment, it's a gift. Every hour spent honing your skills is an hour closer to domination. Every drop of sweat, every moment of doubt you conquer, brings you closer to mastery. So I ask you, what are you sharpening? What skill? What talent? What knowledge are you forging into a blade that cannot be dulled? What are you doing today to ensure that when the opportunity comes, and it will, you won't just be ready, you'll be unstoppable? The time to act is now. Not tomorrow, not someday. You don't sharpen your edge when the battle begins. You prepare in the silence, in the shadows, so when the moment comes, you don't falter. You cut clean through. Sharpen yourself, or be cut down. There is no middle ground. The battlefield doesn't care about your potential, your excuses, or your comfort. It only recognizes those with the edge to survive. Who will you be when the dust settles? The blade or the broken? The choice is yours, but the clock is ticking, and the grind is waiting. Lesson 5. Hunt the market's weakness. The world is a predator's arena, and you must decide, are you the hunter or are you the prey? The market doesn't reward the passive, the timid, or the distracted. It rewards those who can see its weaknesses, who can sniff out its vulnerabilities and strike with precision and ferocity. If you want to win, you must become a predator, not of people, but of opportunities. And the first step, learn to hunt. Make no mistake, the market doesn't care about you. It doesn't care about your dreams, your ambitions, or your struggles. It's cold, it's ruthless, and it's indifferent. But here's the secret most will never tell you. The market has blind spots, weaknesses, gaps that no one is paying attention to. These are the cracks in the armor of the world's systems, and they're waiting for someone bold enough, sharp enough, to exploit them. But let's be honest, the weak won't survive this hunt. They're too busy complaining about what's wrong with the world to see the opportunities right in front of them. They're too busy chasing distractions to notice the gold buried in the cracks. That's not you, is it? You're here to take what others are too blind to see. You're here to rise above the noise and claim what's yours. To hunt the market's weakness, you must first learn to see. This isn't about luck. It's about strategy, observation, and relentless curiosity. Study the game. Analyze industries, businesses, and trends until you can see the flaws others ignore. Ask yourself, where are others failing? Where are they too slow, too greedy, too arrogant? Where do they overlook the needs of the people they claim to serve? Those weaknesses are your invitation to dominate. The market is a game of exploitation, not in the immoral sense, but in the sense of strategy. Where others see obstacles, you must see opportunities. Where they see dead ends, you must see untapped potential. But don't make the mistake of thinking the market will hand you anything. It won't. You'll have to take it, forcefully, relentlessly. with the precision of a predator who knows the stakes. Remember, the greatest opportunities don't scream for attention. They whisper. They hide in the shadows, waiting for someone with the eyes to see them and the guts to go after them. Are you listening? Are you willing to do the hard work to uncover what others ignore? Or will you remain blind, waiting for the scraps left behind by those bold enough to act? And here's the part most people don't want to face. Once you find the weakness, you have to strike. It's not enough to see the opportunity. It's not enough to plan. You must act, ruthlessly, decisively, without hesitation, because opportunities don't wait. They vanish as quickly as they appear, and if you're not ready, someone else will take them. Someone hungrier, someone sharper. Don't let that happen. So I ask you, are you ready to hunt? Are you ready to sharpen your mind, open your eyes, and find the gaps no one else dares to see? Are you prepared to do what it takes to exploit those weaknesses and make them your strength? Because the market doesn't forgive hesitation. It doesn't reward those who wait. It only bows to those who take. This is your wake-up call. Stop chasing what everyone else is chasing. Stop playing the game like a pawn. Study the board, learn the rules, and then break them. Hunt the weaknesses others ignore, and build your empire on the foundation of their failures. The prey waits for permission. The predator takes what it wants. Which one are you? The market is yours for the taking, but only if you're willing to become the hunter. The clock is ticking, and the hunt has already begun. Are you ready to strike? Lesson 6. Forge a ruthless value proposition. You walk into the room, and what happens? Does the world stop and take notice? Or does it keep turning as if you were never there? Be honest with yourself. Are you indispensable, or are you forgettable? Because in this world, value isn't given. It's demanded. It's forged in fire, shaped with precision, and delivered with the force of a wrecking ball. If you want to survive, no. If you want to dominate, you must become something no one can ignore. Let's face the truth. Mediocrity is everywhere. The market is flooded with people who look the same, talk the same, and offer the same empty promises. But you're here to rise above, to carve out a position so unique, so undeniable, that the market has no choice but to take notice. And to do that, you must answer one ruthless question. Why should they choose you? Why should they give you their money, their time, their trust? If you can't answer that with absolute clarity and power, you've already lost. Building a value proposition isn't about being liked. It's about being needed. You're not here to be everyone's friend. You're here to solve their problems. Problems they don't even want to admit they have. You're here to be the answer that they can't ignore, the one they can't live without. So I ask you, what do you bring to the table? Not the surface-level fluff, but the real, raw solution only you can provide. Here's the hard truth. Most people don't know their value. They coast through life, offering watered-down versions of themselves, hoping someone will notice. Don't be like them. Don't hope. Don't wait. Forge your value with intention and precision. Identify what makes you dangerous, what makes you unique, what makes you worth every ounce of attention and every dollar of investment. Refuse to blend in. But knowing your value isn't enough. You have to make others see it. Craft your proposition so sharp it cuts through the noise. Use words that hit like punches and actions that leave no doubt. When you speak, make them feel the weight of your presence. When you deliver, make it impossible for them to regret their choice. Your value proposition is your weapon. Wield it with confidence and precision. Remember, value is measured by the problems you solve and the lives you impact. The bigger the problem, the greater your value. So stop playing small. Stop selling yourself short. Step into the spaces others fear to enter and own them. Be the one who solves what no one else dares to touch. That's how you stand out. That's how you become indispensable. And don't think for a second that this will come easy. To forge something of value, you'll have to burn away everything that doesn't serve you. The doubts, the distractions, the laziness, all of it must go. What remains will be pure, unshakable, and undeniable. A force that the market can't ignore and your competition can't compete with. So I ask you now, are you ready to step into your power? To stop begging for attention and start commanding it? To stop waiting for opportunities and start creating them? The world doesn't care about what you want. It cares about what you can give. Make them see your value or prepare to be left behind. This is your moment to define yourself, to forge your value so strong and so ruthless that no one dares to doubt you again. The weak will hope for recognition. The strong will demand it. Be the strong. Be the bold. Be the one they cannot ignore. Forge your value or fade into nothing. The choice is yours. But remember this, the clock is ticking and the world is watching. Will you rise or will you disappear? Lesson 7. Command compensation. How long have you been undervaluing yourself? How long have you been settling for less, swallowing your pride, and convincing yourself that someday you'll finally get what you deserve? Let me tell you something. The world doesn't give a damn about what you think you're worth. It's up to you to take it, to demand it, to command it. And if you don't, the world will bleed you dry and leave you with nothing but regret. Compensation isn't a gift. It's a transaction. It's a measure of the value you bring, the problems you solve, and the results you deliver. But here's the cold truth. No one's going to pay you what you're worth unless you force them to see it. They'll pay you what you accept. They'll pay you the bare minimum you're willing to tolerate. So I ask you, what have you been tolerating? What have you been allowing? And why the hell are you still allowing it? You have to understand something. Compensation is power. It's freedom. It's control over your destiny. And if you're too timid to claim it, you'll spend your life as a pawn in someone else's game. This isn't just about money. It's about respect. It's about standing tall and making it clear that you are not here to be exploited. You are here to dominate, to command, to be compensated in full for the value you bring. But here's the catch. The market doesn't care about your ego. It doesn't care about your feelings. You can't just demand compensation. You have to justify it. You have to prove, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that you're worth every cent, every dollar, and then some. That proof isn't in words. It's in results. It's in the problems you solve and the impact you create. So stop whining about being undervalued and start showing the world why they can't afford to ignore you. And when the time comes to negotiate, don't you dare flinch. Don't you dare stutter or shrink back. You walk into that room with the confidence of someone who knows their worth, someone who's ready to walk away if their value isn't met. Because here's the dark truth. They need you more than you need them. The moment you realize that, the power shifts. The game changes. And you're no longer at their mercy. You're in control. But let's be clear. This isn't for the faint of heart. To command compensation, you have to be relentless. Ruthless even. You have to outwork, outsmart, and outperform everyone around you. You have to make yourself so damn valuable that they can't afford to lose you. And you have to be willing to burn bridges if it means staying true to your worth. Are you ready for that? Are you ready to walk away from comfort, from security, to build something bigger, stronger, and more powerful? The weak settle. the strong demand. Which one are you? Will you keep making excuses, blaming the system? Or will you rise and take what's yours? Because no one's going to hand it to you. No one's going to see your worth until you force them to. This is your wake-up call. Stop waiting for permission. Stop hoping for recognition. Go out there and claim it. Show them who the hell you are. Commanding compensation isn't about greed. It's about justice. It's about taking control of your life and refusing to be a victim of someone else's system. It's about building a future where you call the shots, where you decide your worth, and where no one else can tell you otherwise. So, I'll ask you one last time. Are you ready to take what's yours? Are you ready to stop apologizing for your value and start demanding it? The world doesn't reward the timid. It rewards the bold, the ruthless, the unrelenting. Be that person. Rise, command, take what you're worth, and never look back. Lesson 8. Build relentlessly. Let me tell you a secret about the world you live in. It's not built for you. It's built to break you, to distract you, to make you small. And if you let it, it will succeed. But you're not here to be broken. You're here to build. Relentlessly, unforgivingly, without rest, without excuse, without hesitation. Because if you don't build your life, someone else will. And trust me, they won't build it for your benefit. Every empire begins with one brick, one decision, one action. The question isn't whether you can start. The question is whether you'll keep going when the walls begin to crack, when the foundation starts to shake, and when the weight of your vision feels like it's crushing you. Because building relentlessly isn't about starting strong. It's about enduring when everything inside you screams to stop. The weak talk about dreams. They fantasize. They plan. They sketch out ideas that never see the light of day. But the strong grind. They don't waste time talking about what they're going to do. They just do it. Over and over and over again. They don't wait for inspiration, for motivation, for the perfect time. They build in the silence, in the darkness, when no one is watching and no one is clapping. Because they know the truth. The grind is the only thing that separates winners from losers. But let me warn you, the grind will break you before it builds you. It will test every ounce of your resolve, every fiber of your being. It will strip you of your illusions, your excuses, your weaknesses. And that's the point. Because the version of you that starts this journey isn't strong enough to finish it. You must become someone else, someone sharper, harder, more relentless. The grind is the crucible that will forge that version of you, but only if you're willing to embrace the pain. Look around you. Every excuse you've ever made is staring back at you, daring you to quit. It's too hard. I don't have time. I'm not ready. Burn those excuses. They are the chains keeping you from greatness. Do you think the world will care if you fail? Do you think anyone is coming to save you? No one is coming. No one owes you anything. If you want to build something that lasts, you have to do it yourself. Brick by brick, step by step, day by day. And don't fool yourself into thinking the work will ever end. It won't. The moment you stop building is the moment the world starts tearing down what you've created. That's the harsh reality of life. The grind never stops. You can rest when you're dead. Until then, you build, you push, you climb. Because the alternative is to watch everything you've worked for crumble into dust. So, what are you building? Is it strong enough to withstand the storms of life? Is it bold enough to stand the test of time? Or is it fragile, half-hearted, and destined to collapse at the first sign of trouble? The choice is yours, but make no mistake. Whatever you build reflects who you are. Weak people build weak foundations. Strong people build fortresses. Which one are you? This is your moment. Your call to action. Start now. Start today. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Take the first step, then the next, and then another. And don't stop. Don't look back. Don't wait for permission. The grind is waiting for you, and it will not wait forever. Build relentlessly, or be left behind. There is no middle ground. The world only remembers those who refuse to quit, who refuse to settle, who refuse to let the grind break them. Be that person. Rise. Building. And when the world tries to tear you down, smile. Because they'll never understand what it means to build something they can't destroy. Lesson 9. The strength to endure. The road you've chosen is not for the weak. It's not for the faint-hearted, the dreamers who quit at the first sign of resistance, or the cowards who retreat when the storm rolls in. This road, your road, is for those who refuse to break, for those who endure, for those who understand that pain is not the enemy. It's the price of greatness. And if you're not willing to pay that price, turn back now, because what lies ahead will crush you. Let's not sugarcoat this. Life is brutal. It will test you, push you, and beat you to your knees until you can't breathe. But here's the truth no one wants to admit. The pain isn't the end. It's the beginning. Every blow you take, every scar you earn, is proof that you're still in the fight. And the fight is all that matters. Weakness dies in the struggle. Strength is born there. But let me ask you, what are you fighting for? Is it worth the sleepless nights, the sweat, the blood, the tears? Because if it's not, you'll crumble when the weight becomes too much. Purpose fuels endurance. Without it, you're just stumbling in the dark, hoping for a break that will never come. So, what is your purpose? What is the reason you get back up when everything inside you says to stay down? Endurance isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about standing in the rain, soaked to the bone, screaming into the wind that you will not break. It's about embracing the struggle, knowing that every step through the mud, every climb up the jagged cliffs, is taking you closer to the life you were meant to live. And here's the dark truth. Most people will never make it. They'll quit when it gets hard, and they'll live the rest of their lives haunted by what could have been. Will you? Look back at your life. Every time you thought you couldn't survive, every time you wanted to give up, you didn't. You're still here. That's proof of your strength, proof that you can endure more than you think. But survival isn't enough anymore. It's time to thrive in the chaos. It's time to use the fire of adversity to forge yourself into something unstoppable. Understand this. Endurance is not a gift. It's a skill. And like any skill, it must be trained, tested, and sharpened. You don't become unbreakable overnight. You become unbreakable by surviving the unbearable, over and over, until pain becomes just another challenge to overcome, until failure becomes fuel, until every setback becomes a reason to rise stronger. The world is watching, waiting for you to quit. Don't give them the satisfaction. Don't let the doubters, the critics, the ones who never believed in you, be right. Show them. Show yourself. Prove that you are made of something they will never understand. Grit, resilience, endurance. Prove that no matter how hard it gets, you will not be moved. So, I ask you, what will you do when the storm hits? When the walls close in and the weight of the world is on your shoulders? Will you fold, or will you rise? Will you endure, or will you disappear like so many before you? The choice is yours. But know this, every second you endure is a second closer to victory. Every time you refuse to quit, you take one more step toward becoming the person you were destined to be. The strength to endure is not about being invincible. It's about refusing to stay broken. It's about standing back up, no matter how many times life knocks you down. Because the world doesn't belong to the strongest or the fastest. It belongs to those who can endure, to those who refuse to stop, to those who understand that the fight is never over until you win. Endure or be forgotten. Rise or remain in the shadows. The clock is ticking, the storm is raging, and your moment is now. Will you survive the fire, or will you let it consume you? The answer is yours to give. But remember this, only those who endure will ever see the other side. Lesson 10. Reflect, refine, and evolve. The end of a journey is a lie. There is no finish line, no final destination, no point where the grind stops and the rewards pour in without effort. That's a fantasy sold to the weak, the ones who want comfort more than greatness. The truth, the brutal truth, is that life will never stop demanding more from you. If you're not evolving, you're dying. If you're not growing, you're being left behind. Take a look at where you stand today. How far have you come? What battles have you fought? What scars have you earned? And yet here's the question that matters most. Is it enough? Are you satisfied with the person you've become? Or are you still haunted by the vision of who you could be? Because if you are, let me remind you, you're not done. You're never done. Reflection isn't about patting yourself on the back. It's about facing the gaps, the cracks, the failures you've ignored. It's about being honest with yourself in a way most people can't handle. What did you do well? What did you leave on the table? What have you been too afraid to confront? The answers to those questions aren't just important, they're everything. Because the moment you stop asking them is the moment you stop growing. And if you're not growing, you're falling apart. But reflection alone won't save you. It's not enough to see the flaws, to admit the mistakes, to acknowledge the weaknesses. You have to refine, to break yourself down and rebuild stronger, sharper, more ruthless. You must strip away the habits, the thoughts, the excuses that no longer serve you. Evolution demands sacrifice. It demands that you kill the version of yourself that's holding you back. Are you ready for that? Are you ready to destroy what's comfortable to create what's unstoppable? Here's the truth. Every new level of success requires a new version of you. The person you are now can only take you so far. The person you need to become, that's a whole different animal. And the only way to meet that version of yourself is through fire, through relentless improvement, through ruthless honesty, through the kind of work that most people will never dare to do. And even then, the process doesn't stop. The moment you think you've made it, you've already started to slip. Complacency is the silent killer of ambition. The market will evolve. Your competition will evolve. The question is, will you? Or will you let the world outpace you, outthink you, and bury you before you even realize what's happening? This is your wake-up call. Reflect, refine, evolve. Burn away the parts of you that aren't strong enough to survive the next storm. Rebuild yourself with the precision of a craftsman and the ferocity of a warrior. And when you think you've arrived, remember, the climb never ends. Greatness is not a destination. It's a lifelong pursuit. A pursuit that rewards only the relentless. So I ask you, what will you do when the mirror reveals the cracks? When the fire demands another sacrifice? Will you rise and become something greater? Or will you cling to the illusion that you've done enough? The choice is yours, but the clock is ticking, and the world is waiting to see if you'll rise or fall. Evolve or be erased. Reflect, refine, and claim your place. The grind never ends, but neither does your potential. Step into the fire and let it forge you into something unforgettable. This is your moment. Don't waste it. So now you know. Purpose isn't just a feeling, it's a weapon. Service isn't just a choice, it's a demand. And compensation? It's the reward for those bold enough to bring their value to the world and relentless enough to claim it. These 10 lessons aren't just steps. They're the foundation for a life that defies mediocrity, a life that commands respect and leaves a legacy. But remember this, knowing is not enough. Understanding these principles means nothing if you don't act. The grind is waiting, the market is watching, and time is running out. Will you let these truths slip through your fingers? Or will you use them to forge the life you were born to live? The choice is yours. Serve relentlessly, build without compromise. And when you rise with the knowledge that you earned every inch of your success. This is your game now. Play it well. Thank you for watching Grimface Financial. If you're ready to take the next step, subscribe, share, and join the movement. But don't just watch. Act. Your future isn't waiting for permission, and neither should you. Until next time, stay sharp, stay relentless, and stay in control.